22 jobs, one at a time. This is Backlog Buster's Final Fantasy V Single Job Challenge series. The core rule is to only use the assigned job. I'll be forced to go jobless using Freelancer until the assigned job becomes available. As soon as the job unlocks, I'll switch out of Freelancer and be locked into that job for the rest of the game, for better or for worse. I'll be doing my best to see the majority of the optional content, but it's going to depend on the individual job for some of it. As an additional challenge, I'm going to try and beat the game at as low a level as possible, and to minimize grinding, though some grinding is likely inevitable. Other than that, there are no restrictions. All equipment, game mechanics, and strategies are available to beat the game and see the credits. Working through that lengthy list one by one, this time I'll be playing. Well, this time I'm switching it up. It's going to be an Earth Crystal job. I'm going to be pragmatic here. I'm going to work my way down to the Earth Crystal and then fork my save, since the Earth Crystal shattering is like a third of the way through the game. If you're watching Samurai only, Dragoon only, or Dancer only, and you have seen any of the previous videos, or you just want to see where the single job challenge actually starts, you can skip ahead to this timecode right here. Ta-da! Otherwise, we're gonna be freelancing for a while. Team status gathered up. Now to stop that wind crystal from shattering. Wing Raptor absolutely roasted, like the rotisserie chicken that he is. Shoot, we looking to start a team. The rotisserie boys. Oh right, the wind crystal. I'm just too easily distracted. Jobs? Well, we're definitely not using one of these. I'm off to talk to Zoc! No jobs means a much harder road ahead. I'm getting the gang geared up and stocking up on items in Tulle after a brief grind session. Now I can finally take on the Torna Canal. Sword swinging all the way through. Oh yeah, the monsters in the canal only attack women. So why are they hitting Ferris? Oh cool, a fun whirlpool ride. Let's-a go. Aw, boss fight, come on man. Carla Bose's Carla crushed? Just kidding, it was a bit more dicey than usual. Sword swinging and item flinging gets me through though, even though Bartz took a dirt nap. The ship graveyard is no skin off my back. Kinda spooky though, since it's full of skeletons trying to take the skin off my back. I'm going to grind a level here. Just because jobless, my stats are complete garbage and I could use some extra HP. Siren's curse is broken because Galoof's too dumb to remember who his loved ones are. Siren herself is no problem. First form, she gets cut with a bunch of swords. She inevitably puts up Protect, but promptly swaps to Undead form. Sword swinging swaps to Potion flinging. And now I'm completely out of potions. At least she's back in human form again. One final barrage of blades, and that's one step closer to my Earth Crystal job. Crushing my way down to Carwin. First on the agenda is, as usual, that Ice Rod. I may not be able to cast spells, but I can still smash rods. Now it's time for a consumable restock and a new gear. And that being said, I'm completely broke, so I need a quick grind session. Suited up, the path up the North Mountain is, as usual, pretty unremarkable. Magisa poisons Lena again. It just keeps happening. Blizzard, huh? Well, taste my Blade Barrage. Followed by a Blizzard 3 of my own by smashing that Ice Rod. I'm done with Magisa. No forts are required. Magisa left me her whip. Might prove more useful than you might think. Lena, I just cured your poison. Don't poison yourself again. Waltz is usually next, but as freelancers, it's a quick detour to Tycoon Castle. After some expository dialogue, I finally regain control and I can access Tycoon's hidden treasures. These treasures are the Healing Staff, which lets me heal my party by whacking them off. Then the Diamond Bell, which is honestly pretty unremarkable. Followed by the Ashura. The Ashura is extremely powerful at this stage of the game. And Samurai Katanas are one of the only weapons with innate critical hits. Not to mention it's like 20 attack power stronger. Big power spike coming to Tycoon Castle. But it's time to get back on track. I hope the water crystal in Waltz isn't in danger from that detour. But if it is, it can wait. I must become the consumer again. In town, I snatched up some armor upgrades and the silver specs to look my best before heading to my audience with the king. Finally, King Waltz, I'm here. You gotta stop using the crystal's power. Come on, man. Every single time. Oh, now you want me to save the crystal? Oh, how things change in a span of 5 minutes, don't they? At the top of the Waltz Tower, it's the beastly, bulging Garula. He's the master of physical attacks and counters. Unfortunately for him, he's a magic beast type enemy. That means that whips can inflict paralyze. That's right, the secret to beating Garula is giving him the old... As long as only Ferris attacks with the whip, I can minimize incoming damage by chain paralyzing Garula. And if any damage does get through, Lena can heal them by beating them off with the heal rod. Bartz with the Ashura does a ton of damage. He's completely safe as long as he waits for Ferris to get a whip paralysis off. Is this the true power of freelancing? But phew, I made it just in time for the crystal to blow up. Well, that's the water crystal down. Jobs for another time. The fire crystal's up next in Karnak. The meteor's power disintegrates Bartz and reforms him across the ocean to the other continent. I'm sure he's the same and not some inverse or dark version of Bartz from a parallel universe. There's no way that could happen. In Karnak, I'm imprisoned for doing some basic shopping. Did Bartz really get swapped after all? My new friend Sid is a poor judge of character though, and busts us out with some minor pouting. The fire ship which contains the fire crystal is the next destination, but first, the wolves must be culled. Except for generic werewolf. I love that guy. Knacks are easy battles with good gil and EXP gains. Every fight is basically an elemental rod worth of gil. I'm freelancing until the earth crystal, so I'm getting while the getting's good. Half an hour later, I'm geared up and heading through the fire ship to the fire crystal. Nothing to see here, just straight down to the bottom to see the queen. Man, how does everyone know Bartz was replaced by an evil doppelganger? Liquid flame is liquefied by a shattered frost rod. Well, at least normally it would be, but Freelancer's default magic power is terrible, so it takes 2. Actually 3, because it's swapped to the magic immune form. Okay, finally done with that. Oh, look, a flame bow. Oh, hell yeah, it's generic werewolf, and he's gone. The fire crystal blows up, and Karnak Castle's about to get blowed up too. Let's skedaddle. The elf cape and main gauche are mandatory pickups, but as a freelancer, I can actually use the hidden ribbon. This is the best headgear in the game, bar none. Tons of stat buffs and a lot of status immunity. This is a no-brainer pickup and instant equip, at least for the time being. Now to head up the left side and grab the elf cape for its 25% chance to dodge physical attacks. Then the right side to grab the main gauche for its high damage and another 25% chance to dodge physicals. Yes, they do stack. I got what I came for, time to bounce. There's no need to battle Ironclaw this time. I'll just smash a fire rod and swing my Ashura to get out of here. Rip in pieces Karnak Castle. 3 more crystal shards, and those are jobs for another time. I've got 6 frost rods and 6 flame rods left. That should be enough to get through the ancient library. Inside the library, there's only a couple of random battles. The flame bow is actually doing a ton of damage to these paper-based enemies. Who could have predicted this? Straight to Ifrit. 2 shattered ice rods and he's on the team. Listen, this was his choice, alright? He didn't have to join up with me. But with Ifrit's power, I can head to the bottom of the library to face my nemesis, Byblos. Book-based bosses, burninated with 2 shattered flame rods. Dead in a single round of combat. If only it was always going to be this easy. Sure, I'm looking forward to Thief and White Mage. Resident Brainlord Mid rescued. Back to Karnak to stage an intervention for second Brainlord Sid. Listen, Sid and Mid are like the most important characters in the story. I just gotta help them through their problems so they can be my on-demand mechanics. And I'm gonna call them in right now to get the fire ship seaworthy. Sure hope this thing doesn't sink immediately. Why would anything nice ever happen? On Crescent Island, the definitely not extinct black chocobo scarfed down my crystal shards. Nope, these are not the jobs that I'm looking for. I'm thinking some penetrating power is in order to tackle Archaeoavis. I'm going to quickly grind outside of the forest for harvesters. These guys drop death sickles, a very powerful axe weapon that can inflict instant death. I've got a couple of death sickles, let's mosey on back to the library. See? Told ya, Sid and Mid, they're like the most important characters. Fighting the sandworm with death sickles brings back some horrible memories from the dark years. I'm just gonna go ahead and eat the gravity counters and smash frost rods. 3 shattered frost rods and I'm done with the God Emperor of Dune. Should've seen that coming with all that spice, bro. I easily won King Tycoon's hide and seek tournament, and oh my god, no, not Crayclaw, the horror! A single thunder rod is all it takes. Even with Freelancer's terrible magic stat, 1 is enough. That's an airship for me. I can go wherever I want to now. And I want to revisit the Ronka ruins to show King Tycoon what's what. Oh, it's just flying now. I'll just go south to Jackhole instead. There's new gear available here, and notable is that I can buy more Assuras and better armor. Also notable is the Jackhole Cave, which has a limited selection of treasures. I can pick up the Blitz Whip that's inside, so I'm risking the battles with Skull Eaters to grab it. Skull Eaters, while very scary, are easily blowed up with a Rod Smash. And here's my prize, the Blitz Whip. The Blitz Whip can randomly cast Thunder 1. Oh boy, definitely worth the detour. Now it's back to Sid and Mid, who have a plan. They want me to kill a turtle? Didn't we try to stop that by changing all the plastic straws to vastly inferior paper straws? What was even the point? Oh well, turtle meat's back on the menu, boys. A smashed ice rod with follow-up from basic attacks and the adamantoise gets turned into adamantite. Ship status upgraded. I filled up on thunder rods at Karnak and now it's up to the floating wonky ronky ruins. 2 smashed thunder rods per side launcher battle, and now it's time for the soul cannon itself. Thunder rods, lend me your power again. 1 smash leads to no more side launchers, so old is off the table. Oh, and it just blows up before I can do anything else. I'll take 1 round of combat, very cool. While my stats do suck as a freelancer, my equipment options and very strong weapons make short work of all of the random battles here. But enough chit-chat. The Earth Crystal is on the cusp. All that stands in my way is Archaeoavis. I can't take my rods with me, so I'm dialing it in. I'm smashing everything. Ferris has the healing staff equipped, so I can withstand the onslaught despite being pretty low level. That's form 1 down. Thunder rods were working a treat. Goodbye, my last flame rod. Now I have to resort to all that I have left, which is physical attacks. Archaeoavis revived itself, but it's no match for my Ashurus and Death Sickles. But Maelstrom takes my party down to critical health. Come on, you got this, Ferris, get bonkin'. The follow-up thunder from Archaeoavis is not good. Lena managed to barely survive. I've got 1 final turn. Make that last attack count, Lena. 400 damage and Archaeoavis is defeated by the absolute skin of my teeth. Kryl shows up to blast King Tycoon and then the Earth Crystal shatters and X-Death emerges. Damn, he's so ominous and cool. After an extended series of cutscenes, Galoof and Kryl must return to their home planet. But more importantly, I can finally start the job challenge. Just a little over 4 hours after starting the game. Time for the most cucked to death job in Final Fantasy, the lowly, degenerate Dragooner. Let's jump right into it. Dragoons have access to spears and daggers. They can also wear heavy armor and use shields too, which is always a benefit. Dragoon's core ability is Jump. This lets you temporarily leave a battle, and when you return, you deal double damage to your target, as long as you're using spears. Jump is generally not a great move. You let your heavy armor user leave to let your more squishy targets take the brunt of the incoming damage from enemies. All for an unimpressive amount of damage. But back on task, I need some spears, so it's off to Jackhole for tridents and new armor. Just like with Samurai, an elf cape sounds like a great plan. Down to the castle wall's basement and, oh no, a jackanape. 1 Dragoon is genuinely not a great choice for your party, but what about 4? With 4 Dragoons I can sync up my jumps, so nobody is left on the field. Was this the secret to Dragoons the whole time, just having 4 of them? It very well might be, but I won't know because I guess tridents are lightning elemental. Jackanapes absorb every element, by the way. I couldn't run, and the whole party got completely wiped out. I didn't want that elf cape anyways. Now for the final tour of Bartz's world. Starting off with the Tycoon Meteor to meet up with the Brain Boys who reveal their master plan. Meteor 1 at walls. Oh no, it's the bomb squad. I could spam jump to win, but I think placing everyone in the back row and using the knight strategy once again is the best course of action. I'm gonna spam Phoenix Downs once somebody gets blowed up, and I'm defending until all of the bombs use self-destruct. 1 meteor down, it's time for Titan at the Karnak Meteor. With synchronized jumping, it's over in a flash. However, the Dragoons were all landed when the final Earthshaker came out, but they did all manage to survive. All that's left is Chimera Brain. He's trying to steal Sid and Mid's brain power for himself. All I can do is jump. I'm putting all of my eggs in this basket. My Dragoons did get desynced, but it did mean that scary attacks like Aqua Breath only hit 1 or 2 targets instead of everybody. Simple blessings. I am rapidly coming to the conclusion that spamming jump is the only way that I'm gonna win this challenge. Thank God for auto battle and its fast forward capabilities. All meteors cleared out, but I have learned from past West's mistakes with Samurai. I'm going to do a very quick grind session at Black Flame Island. Now I'm jumping into Galoof's world and jumping on the abductor. Oh, sweet oh man, I'm stuck in jail, but with 2 babes? It could be worse, I guess. Galoof jumps on the Windrake, breaks in, immediately job changes to Dragoon, and jumps Jailer Gilgamesh. Completely destroyed, while avoiding all damage, except for that 1 hit. Oh, right, I remember these guys. Fun fact here, I distinctly remember grinding Dragoon to max level on these guys as a youngling on the PS1 version. A brainlet maneuver, which is not surprising for a Dragoon enthusiast such as myself. The battle on the big bridge is uneventful, but the soundtrack goes hard. Time for the battle with Gilgamesh, who is also a Dragoon. Whose jump will reign supreme? Synchronized jump and go! Phew, landed just in time to eat a full party wind slash. Just great. Well, most of the party's taking a dirt nap, then Ferris took a dirt nap, and Lena got jumped on. This is maybe the worst fight versus Gilgamesh that I've ever had. I'm level 20, but I really feel compelled to grind. This is really, really embarrassing. Really should have spent more time grinding at the Black Flames, but at least Exdeath's castle has a free way to heal. Alright, Gilgamesh, round 2, I'm slightly beefier. Finally, I'm in sync. Well, Galoof bit it, and Ferris tanked a jump. But who's the greatest Dragoons? It's gonna be me. Oh god, Neo Garulas absorb thunder? Well, I guess I'm swapping to generic daggers. Could Dragoons get any worse at this point? I just got them too. Finally, I'm at the end of the bridge and I'm barrier blasted. I've battled my way to Rigol, Border Town. New gear is available to me, hopefully some non-elemental spears. Wind spear? Are you joking? I've got no choice, I have to take the upgrades. I'm holding on to my tridents just in case though. I'm broke, and Dragoons are just terrible, so it's time for another truly shameful grinding session. After grinding for a lot longer than I care to admit, I'm fully equipped and outfitted with high potions. Let's mosey on to that there Moogle. Avoiding most enemies' attacks with jump is honestly pretty strong, but the damage from jump itself is super mediocre. It also turns fights into an absolute snooze fest, because half the time I'm just staring at a blank screen. This is gonna be a long one, I can tell. Mr. Moogle, I'm here to save you. Tyrannosaur, a prime dragon target for jumping on. Oh no, he's countering it? Well, bye Ferris, and bye Bart's. Alright, resorting to the item stockpile. Elixir, go! Alright, one more. Wait, 6 damage? What is happening? High potion, I choose you. Should have just thrown a phoenix down there past West, but it's finally over. I don't have a chance of cutting through the desert, so it's the long way around to get to the Moogle forest. But at this moment, I had a brain blast. Is jump affected by row? The answer appears to be no, so I'm sitting in the back row. Would have helped to figure that out a little bit earlier. In the Moogle village, I get my second elf cape and a dancing dagger. Probably won't be using that dagger since dancing means I'm not jumping, and that's what all the cool kids are doing. But here's Kryle's cab service to take me to Ball. Listen, Kryle, you really gotta be responsible for your own vehicles. But fine, I'll go to Drakenvale for the parts. Dragoons are dragon killers, so this should be a snap, right? Yeah, I guess we better find Kelgar and get the jump on him. Bone Dragon? Now to see Dragoon's true power. I mean, it's fine, I guess. Not anything impressive. Jumping is generally pretty safe, but I'm falling asleep at the wheel here. Dragoon is also a bone mailer, so I'm grabbing it. That being said, I don't think I've ever really used the bone mail in any of these challenges. There's just not a whole lot of status attack spam. That and not being able to use Phoenix Downs on the bone mail wearer is genuinely terrible. But I've made it to the elusive taxi repair parts. What? It was a monster this whole time? I will choose to jump. Well, this was a mistake. Everyone's olded. This attempt went very, very well. Bone mail, why would I ever doubt your power? Bart's, put it on. I'm back to my one strategy, jumping directly onto the dragon pod. I'm just hoping, praying that I dodge the status effects. Bards should be immune to most of them with the bone mail on. Oh, Galoof landed just a little too fast and eats every single status effect. Well, Bart's and Lena somehow pulled through. Oh no, I still have to kill the rest of the dragon flowers? Later, Lena. Bart's is out of here. No. The bone mail doesn't stop paralysis? Oh, come on, I was right there! Welcome back to the Dragooner Primetime Goon Sesh. It's all you can eat on zombie and bone dragons. Tuned up, I'm back at the dragon pod. Same strategy, just slightly stronger. This time I managed to jump the dragon pod down while everyone was still alive. With only 2 flowers left and 2 relatively healthy dragoons, yoompen, it's all over. The dragon pod was definitely more of a problem than it should have been, but I've returned from where no one has returned from before. I'm jumping in battle. I'm jumping into moats. I'm just constantly jumping. Oh right, I need to fix Kryle's car. I guess Kryle went to night school or something to become a pharmacist. Silly Lena. Always ingesting poison. Sage Guido needs a lift. Wait, I didn't sign up for this. I've been had. But what secrets does Surgate Castle offer? This book tells me the secret of the Dragon Lance ability. I got no clue what that is. The real reason I came to Surgate Castle was for heavy lances. Finally, some non-elemental damage spears. I'm restocking my items, and it's time to speak to my third favorite character, Zaza Surgate, formerly of the Dawn Warriors, who failed to beat Exdeath, making him my problem. You know what? Zaza's getting bumped down to 4th favorite character. Dorgan's my 3rd favorite now. Goblins jumped on, and now for Gilgamesh. I have one strategy, so jumping it is. After one round, Enkidu shows up to spam White Wind. I will simply continue jumping on Gilgamesh. I managed to outpace the White Wind healing and took out Gilgamesh, then Enkidu fell shortly after. Forcing me into a homemade submarine? God, Zeza, you're going down another spot to my 5th favorite. Sid and Mid are now jointly number 4. They're attached to the hip after all. In the barrier tower, there's always a choice to make. Do I want reflect rings? I mean, I do, but do I care enough to grind for them? The answer may surprise you, and it was a big yes. During this grind session, I unlocked Dragoon's only active ability, Lance. I guess that's what that book was talking about. This is a combined Drain Osmos effect, but it's pretty terrible on Dragoons since they have a bad magic stat. If I'm lancing, I ain't jumping, so it's probably not going to get much use. But that's the one non-innate ability that Dragoons actually get. After the longest amount of time I've spent in the barrier tower to date, it's finally time to get on with it. I only managed to get 2 reflect rings and I was here for well over an hour. My damage output doubled during this time, which is going to be incredibly useful versus Atmos. Bartz immediately gets commented to death. It's every Dragooner for himself, get jumpin'. With all of that grinding, my damage is simply okay. The 2 reflect rings are preventing my party from getting hit with slow and old though, which is greatly appreciated. Of course, Lena's dumpstered after Bartz gets slurped up. She's getting sucked up too. But just like in Ninja Scroll, Lena's body is so saturated with poison that Atmos dies. Zeza gets blowed up, and I get to head to my favorite area, Sage Guido's cave. Rock puzzle solved, and Guardian Branch obtained. Off to more, which has air knives. Squaresoft wouldn't just neglect spears as a weapon type, would they? How could they do this to Dragoons? Now to jump on everything as I make my way through the Great Forest. It was at this point I mastered Dragoon, the ultimate ability, equip lances. Fantastic. Sure are none of those in this game. Oh no, Exdeath set the forest on fire. I never saw this coming. Get in here, Aegis Shield. Dragoons will absolutely need your power to beat Exdeath. Final Fantasy is all based around crystals. It's got a crystal-based economy, and of course, crystal-based bosses. Huh? I have one strategy and I will continue to use it. Focus fire my synchronized Dragoon jumps. Okay, if everyone jumps, it does about 4,000 damage, which will put them into their magic casting phase. It's better to do 2 jumps first, followed by a synchronized 4 on a single target. The stay-behinders are tanky enough in the back row with shields that they can weather the physical attacks. An iota of brain power and counting was all it took to beat the crystals. Good job, Wes. Galoof is so tired of being Dragoon that he decides to take on Exdeath and end this right here, right now. It didn't work. Wake up, Kral, you're my new best friend. The classic in and out, followed by the Kelgar Castle cleansing. Ice shield snatched up as I jump on everything all the way to the Sacred Circle. Right before the inevitable battle with Gilgamesh, I can pick up the Partisan. Just like with Samurai, I sure am glad there's one weapon upgrade to share between my 4 Dragoons. The Quad Gooner Squad versus the original Lol Drag. Big jump. Gilgamesh switches forms, but I will continue to have Frog Lena jumping. It just makes sense. My guys weren't even on the screen when Exdeath banished him to the Shadow Realm. Exdeath, please, don't hurt me, please, take my wife, please, don't hurt me, please. A battle was inevitable. I use Big Jump and end my turn. I will continue to use Big Jump and end my turn. Quad Goon Jump and Dodge is a heck of a lot of scary spells, and while my damage does suck a big one, it's enough to get Exdeath into his final phase pain-free. Everyone's got shields and I'm in the back row, so vacuum waves and physicals are getting eaten left and right. I also have the pocket reflect rings to bounce spells back when they occasionally land. Dragoon's damage is absolutely subpar at this stage in the game, but it's enough to blast Exdeath to death, I guess. Finally, a party just for me. A celebratory Boobarts moment. Boko, I need you to abandon your wife and children so I can cross exactly 1 river. Wait a second, antlions never attack people. Let's jump right out of this tacked-on garbage boss fight. Exdeath, I thought I killed you yesterday. Exdeath is clearly not turtly enough for the Turtle Club. But Bartz is, and I even get signed up as a primo member, but only if I collect some tablets. Sounds like a pyramid scheme to me. But first, a trip back to Moor. I'm taking the chicken knife since I can't use the Brave Blade. I'm also saving a trip back and snatching up Fire 3 while I'm here for Omniscient a little later. I have no area of effect damage as a Dragoon, so it's the classic strategy of counting. Once they're both close to death, I queue up a triple jump barrage and finish them off before they can resurrect each other. Another ice and flame shield would be cool, if Past West was actually smart, but I'm blitzing all the way to the top. Until I get stopped by these machine heads. Oh well, jump never fails. Interceptor? What? These guys have a specifically anti-Dragoon attack? Are you joking me? I'm flabbergasted. I can't believe it. Why would they do that to Dragoons? Jump is all I have. What am I gonna do? No, wait. It's time to try out Dragon Lance. Oh, that damage is absolutely abysmal. But it beats getting shot out of the sky with a surface-to-air missile. Finally out of that fight, straight into the Pharaoh's Curse. Boing, 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 all the way to the top of the pyramid. Tablet acquired, and hey look, my airship. Let's mosey on back there. Oh look, Lena's back. No wait, it's just a horrible, terrifying, sexy, giant monster lady. Meluzine's barrier change gimmick is very strong versus my only using jump gimmick. This is gonna be rough. The reflect rings keep my party very safe, but the reflected magic is healing Meluzine. I'm just waiting and praying that she barrier changes to be weak to physicals. Finally. Alright, that damage could be a lot better, but it's not the end of the world yet. Keep on jumping, friends. And she barrier shifted again. All I can do is hold out. Bartz is dead since he's reflect ringless. Phoenix downed. Thankfully she switched again fast, but she didn't stay there for very long either. She's constantly shifting barriers, and I'm constantly jumping and praying for some damage to finally connect. After what felt like 100 barrier changes, she finally bites the dust. But that wacky evil warlock X-Death goes and slurps up half the world. It's cool, I probably didn't need to go back to any of those places anyways. Right away, I'm gonna get Boko's quest done. The magic lamp from Istri Falls is mine. Now he can return to his family after I get back to my airship. The sealed castle of Kuza is on the way back. I'll make a pit stop to drop off that tablet. First pick is obviously the Holy Lance. Next is the Assassin's Dagger, of course. That's all I can use. What will number 3 be? It's gotta be the Flame Lash. Love that guy. Now the fun really begins as X-Death unleashes the horrible monsters of the void. Boko, you can head back to your family. I'm headed down to Phantom Village as usual. Thief Knife obtained. I can also buy more Partisans here. I'll take another 3, please. Partisans may do less damage than both the Thief Knife and Assassin's Dagger, but spears are the only weapons that deal 2 times damage with jump, so I'm obligated to use them over daggers. But what I really came here for are Hermes Sandals. These give permanent haste and a lot of status immunity. They're a bargain at 50,000 gil a pop. 2 pairs will have to do for now. Now I'm escaping the Phantom Village by finding my old friend, the last black chocobo in existence. Fly me straight to that northern desert. There's more than one way to get Hermes Sandals. I'm sand-walking my way to the Phoenix Tower. I fought all the way up the 30 floors to acquire the Phoenix Summon. I also managed to get an extra pair of Hermes Sandals from beating up Charisse along the way. I got my 4th and final pair on the way back down those 30 floors. Since I'm here, I'll go ahead and take on the Dragon King. My Dragoons are allegedly dragon killers in the lore, so this should be fine, right? As we all know, the lore is definitely exactly how things function in games, and not just completely made up garbage. Reflect rings should make this a free fight as usual. Jumping pops Bahamut into the Mega Flare bracket, but Bartz and Kryl were instantly vaporized. Then Bahamut used a physical attack like an absolute animal and killed Lena. Afterwards, he resorted to Mega Flares again, and Ferris reflected them. I've won. Completely finished with the Northern Desert, unless I need to come back and grind later. Spoiler alert, haha! Now for an item restock, and then to the Island Shrine. The gargoyles actually absorb holy damage, so my amazing Holy Lance is being shelved. Really glad I got this. Back to counting once again, and then queuing up a string of jumps to defeat the gargoyles at the same time. Boing, 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 all the way to the bottom of the Island Shrine. Worth noting right now is that the Holy Lance deals twice as much damage as my lowly Partisans. It's a crying shame I can't get any better spears yet. But here is the Wendigo. 4 Dragoons, 4 targets. Everybody pick a guy and jump on him. Wash, rinse, repeat. This took a while, but of course I won. I honestly didn't even take any damage. The second tablet is mine, and that unlocks the Fork Tower. As usual for non-magic jobs, the Tycoon sisters are turning into black mages with reflect rings. This is all to skip the 16 hours it takes to run Omniscient out of MP. Bartz and Kryl are going up the right tower as Dragooners. At the top of the right tower, Dragoons continue the only strategy I've ever known, using jump at the same time. Whoops, Minotaur absorbs Holy. Gotta swap that Holy Lance to a lowly Partisan. Now I can just resume my strategy of jumping him to death. Minotaur's occasional physical attack that connects is neutered by virtue of being in the back row with a shield. Now for Omniscient. I could just run him out of MP then smack him to death, but I've got another 16 job challenges to get through. I'm blasting him with Fire 3 over and over. Just imagine in your head that I stayed here idling for an entire waking day of my life. Fork Tower status completed. Now I can head down to the catapult so Sid and Mid can give my airship the truly horrifying capability of diving underwater. but I love those guys anyways. The most helpful piece of gear I can get for Dragoons is another Aegis shield, so I'm heading back to Istri Falls. Using Basic Edition, I can clear out the gargoyles again. Boing boing boing, right onto a frog. Boing boing boing, right to the bottom. Aegis shield acquired and equipped. Even though I'm only on the battlefield for fleeting moments, I know this is going to be insanely useful. I've got the tablet. Oh no, it's a red guy. Seriously, I wonder what red guy would have been as a boss. Oh well, Leviathan Kool-Aid manned him to death, so we'll never ever know. And now, I will now jump all over Leviathan. I shan't be needing coral rings. I'm putting my faith in not being around when the tidal waves show up. That tidal wave did connect, but no other ones did, so I won. I'm out of here, back to my homemade submarine, which I will now drive straight into the undersea trench. One final set of gargoyles. More counting my damage distribution before sinking up a big string of jumps. I'm in. The trench is on the scary side, but the enemies down here are all undead, so the Holy Lance is making short work of them. Everybody else, on the other hand, that's a big yikes from me. Magma walking to get the final tablet. Oink oink oink, smeek my boing boing boings. Just kidding, I could use the same strategy as the gargoyles and distribute my damage to win, but I will instead just use the magic lamp to blast them with Odin's Zantetsuken. I'm recharging the magic lamp on the way out, and let's jump out of here to get back to my submarine. Odin's next on the chopping block. Just getting through the Jackal Cave to end up in the Castle Ball basement. Oh, whoops, he absorbs Holy too. Just great. Quick swap to a Partisan. I've got 40 seconds left. What's the worst that could happen? Ooh, boy, finished at exactly 0 seconds. Blessed be, I've won. I'm level 40. All that's left is to head down to the rift. What's the worst that could happen? It's pretty uneventful jumping on everything that I come across, but I did snatch up some elixirs along the way. In the forest where the first fiend shows up. A blue woman with a big crystal! Women do love a big crystal after all. I'm instantly ulted, just great. Oh boy, that jump damage is just terrible. What is going on? Oh well, that's all I got, so I gotta keep jumping. Damn, she didn't even have Protect up, and now she does. Listen, if I have to nibble her toes down 200 damage at a time, I will, I'll do it. But at the very least, she doesn't counter jump with Drain. Otherwise, this may have been very, very annoying. One final jump hits and I've won after an incredibly lengthy battle. I'm getting the jump on those pigs. Revenge is 0 damage? Get me the heck out of here. Oh great, the slimes absorb Holy too? Could this get any worse? Do I seriously need to rely on the Lance ability to actually kill things down here? No, I'll just run away from everything. What could possibly be inside this book? Knowledge is power after all. It was a boss fight with the panda. I will choose to jump. Man, all of these bosses with Protect are actually brutal. My only saving grace is that the Holy Lance feels like a real weapon and not a pool noodle like the Partisans. Byblos is countering everything with Drain now, so this fight is quickly becoming a serious problem. But the Holy Lance deals enough damage that I can scrape by, and I really do mean scrape by this time. A walk of shame out of the rift seems inevitable, but I'll soldier on. In the castle's dungeon, I challenge Azul Magia to a duel. I use jump. Oh, the damage is just pathetic at this point. If this Holy Lance didn't exist, this challenge would be dead and buried. But, regardless of my terrible damage output, it's enough. Azul Magia is defeated by Yumpen. Now immediately after saving, it's fighting Catastrophe. Dragoons can survive a single Earthshaker, but get jumpin', boys! I dodged the next Earthshaker, but I did not dodge the third one. Oh well, we can just queue up for another attempt, eh boys? Instead of spamming Earthshaker, Catastrophe opted for Demon Eye and physical attacks. Kryl and Ferris did eventually get crushed by Earthshaker, but everyone else, they landed on Catastrophe and killed him. Big Smooch into big battle with Halicarnassus. I'll use Big Jump after curing Frog status, of course. Well, Dragoon's killing power was so slow that Halicarnassus casted Holy, but at the very least they weren't around to get smoked by it. One more boss down. Finally, the power of the Holy Lance should actually make short work of the mighty Twin Tanya, right? Well, whoopsie, I guess Twin Tanya counters jump with Tidal Wave. I only have one coral ring this time since I picked it up on the way down here, but I'm not going to use it. Haste is simply too good. 7,500 damage from Holy Lance jumps is disgusting. Degenerate even. Okay. Time to actually obtain intelligence and have a strategy. Bartz, take the Aegis Shield, Coral Ring, and the Holy Lance. All you girls are on borrowed time. I'm putting my faith in solo Bartz for this one. Bartz absorbs tidal waves, but immediately eats a Giga Flare. Listen, I know I can make this strategy work. It's happening. The rest of the crew is quickly wiped out, and Bartz blocks a Giga Flare with the Aegis Shield. I knew he could do it. Oh man, he's charging up another one? Bart's dodged it by being in the air and landed on Twin Tanya, killing him instantly. That's the majority of the rift completed. There's only 2 bosses left. My suspicions were correct though. Those enemies at the bottom floors are using my face as a mop. I'm out of here. My damage is so terrible that after I left the rift, I grinded for 2 hours in the northern desert. If I walk out of the rift once, I'm not walking out again. I dumped all of my extraneous gear for cash, and I bought as many consumables as I could, which included 12 elixirs. I'm finally back at the castle part of the rift. Simply put, my weapons suck, but I can get dragon lances from, well, there's a couple enemies actually. First is inside the dungeon I can defeat the alt-right. Afterwards, it shockingly turns into a Jira Avis. I can try and steal a dragon lance from them with the thief knife, but unfortunately, it's a rare steal. There's also only like 6 of these in the whole game. Should I have reset until I got 4 dragon lances? Oh, probably in retrospect, yeah. I managed to steal exactly 1. That's gonna have to be enough though. My patience is already running real thin with this run. I definitely don't want to grind out more rare steals. But seriously, look at that damage increase. From 62 to 119. Absolutely absurd. This showcases how neglected spears are in this game. Oh, and by the way, Dragon Lances always crit versus Dragon type enemies. I can also steal Dragon Lances from Crystal Dragons in the final part of the Rift though. This is also a rare steal and not exactly a fun exercise. The EXP rewards are zilch too. Listen, I'm fed up with this run, I'm moving on. If I have to come back and get 2 more Dragon Lances after failed attempts with X-Death, then so be it. It's time for Gilgamesh to Gilga get gone. Oh snap, Lena actually pulled through and stole the Genji shield. I never, ever get this. 2 Aegis shields, a Genji shield, and an ice shield. Things are looking up for the Dragooners. Just in time for the Necrophobe, too. Quad yoomps onto the first barrier. It instantly died. I also dodged the first spell barrage, which is really good. Round 2 of jumping means another set of barriers down. The last 2 barriers die without much issue. Kryl did take the brunt of the damage. Oh god, her damage is just terrible. The Holy Lance is doing insane damage since Necrophobe's weak to like every element, and the Dragon Lance is doing decently, but those other 2 with the Partisans, woof. Absolutely carried by the Holy Lance, but honestly, that was probably the easiest Necrophobe so far. Gilgamesh shows up and they blow each other up. Very cool. My Dragoons are level 49. I've got Bartz with the Holy Lance and Aegis Shield, and Ferris has the Dragon Lance and an Aegis Shield. Everyone else has the scraps, but at least I've got a full set of Hermes sandals. The end is nigh. Enter the Dawn Warriors, and Lena's dad. Saved by ghost dads. X-Death, I'm coming for ya. Immediately white hold on Ferris. God, I love it. Well, boys, get to jumping. I see how it's gonna be. It's gonna be one of those fights, isn't it? Here comes the white hole spam. And I really, really do mean spam. Dude, you have other attacks. Dude! Ferris is the last woman standing, and she's gone. This is an uphill battle, oh my god. Finally, I've got everyone back up. The jump span resumes. Well, it would have resumed if I could sync up and people stopped dropping like flies to white holes. Even more white holes. This is brutal. Oh great, now he's in meteor range, and it killed everyone except Bartz. Holy hell, they all survived the second meteor barrage? Ferris barely lived through the third, but she survived. I have to pray that a jump can salvage this. Well, that's X-Death done. Going into Neo X-Death with 1 character at sub 200 health goes just about how you could expect it to go. Which is that I immediately dodged the Delta attack, then blocked the physical and vacuum wave. Shields rock in this game, by the way. I got Bartz up, and Ferris and Bartz healed up with elixirs right before the Almagust hit. It's damn hard to recover when you're getting bombarded with the strongest attacks in the game, but I managed to finally get everyone up and rip 3 charges of the lamp. Bye-bye Magic Caster Lady. At level 49, Dragoons are actually pretty beefy, and I've got elixirs to spare. The problem is I can barely stabilize to get jumps off. I'm also trying to distribute my damage so that I don't run into meteor spam again. This is like 160,000 HP to distribute over 3 targets. Well, big beefy guy is toast, so no more vacuum waves at least. Note to self, take out the big beefy guy in the front next time. Good plan. I've been dodging a lot of Almagus and Grand Cross by being in the air, but I finally get nailed. Ferris gets berserked. Oh, nice, he actually dispelled her. That's pretty cool. The counting is in play once again. My team's healthy. I just gotta not beef this. I immediately beefed it. 1 part left and the meteor spam has begun. Kryl's dead, and everyone else is in critical health. I've got 1 round of jumps left in me. It's taken me this far. It's gotta be enough to take me to the end. That 999,000 didn't kill it? Oh no. Bartz's Holy Lance didn't kill it either, but Lena, with her absolutely terrible partisan, managed to pull it off. Seconds before a full party wipe, Neo Exdeath is skewered to death. That's Final Fantasy V completed using exclusively Dragoons. Final Fantasy V using exclusively Dragoons was completed at level 49 in 17 hours, 54 minutes, and 34 seconds. The second highest level, and definitely one of the slower times. Listen, I joke a lot about Dragoons being garbage, and it's not completely baseless or incorrect either. In Final Fantasy games, the Dragoon's only real choice is to use jump every turn, which leaves your remaining party members behind to draw the enemy's ire. Then they land, doing middling damage at best, only to repeat the process. 4 Dragoons is definitely better than 1 Dragoon. 4 Dragoons can at least sync up so you can dodge a lot of the incoming damage from enemies, turning an incredibly mediocre ability into a much more useful one. Unfortunately, in Final Fantasy V, spears are of course a neglected weapon class. If you want to actually get something better than partisans, your only option is the single Holy Lance, and then praying for a rare steel. A rare steel which is only available at the final floors of the interdimensional rift from very tough enemies. That's basically all I have to say about Dragoon. I don't have anything else to say about them. Dragoon's core and optimum strategy is jumping every turn, which is honestly a pretty boring way to play the game. It's only mildly effective as well. In comparison to other jobs, it's fine, but most of the other jobs do what Dragoon does either better or have more utility or defenses to offer. There's really no scenario where a single Dragoon will benefit your party or your main strategy. This is why they're considered one of the worst jobs in all of Final Fantasy V. 4 Dragoons is definitely a lot better than 1. The only time 4 Dragoons is really good though is if you're going to try to cheese entirely optional super boss Shinryu. 4 Dragon Lances with jump is a good way to deal with that one specific encounter. Otherwise, for Dragoons, it's free shrugs all around, I guess. It managed to beat the game. Dragoon completed marks single job challenge number 6. Up next is one more Earth Crystal job. This one very well be my personal nemesis when it comes to Final Fantasy V jobs. The Dancer. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.